What's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Thank you to everybody that joined us on the live stream today. And for 13 straight years now, the New York Jets are going to miss the postseason, officially eliminated with the wins from the Browns and the Texans. And it's no surprise that the season ultimately turned out to what it was. We saw the writing on the wall as soon as Rodgers went down. And it's why the bar for me never changed week to week. When you kind of saw the same thing that happened last year starting to show early in the year, where the defense was playing well and you just couldn't figure it out on offense. Every week it was the same thing where the defense had to go above and beyond just to give you a chance to win some of these games. And even in the first three wins that they had, the defense had to force 11 takeaways to get those wins. And then the Giant game, it took a miracle to get that one, where the Giants only threw for -9 passing yards. So it took the defense playing at that high of a level just to get all four of those wins to start the year. And so you kind of saw the writing on the wall. And that's where I guess I apologize for being so negative. But I'm not going to come on here and talk about playoffs or what this season I felt should have been when the team wasn't showing any real progress in my eyes. Like, this was still a defense that we knew from last year could play at a high level, but they never had those opportunities like we saw last week finally to just pin their ears back and go. And so, you come out today with what's clearly the biggest game of the year, an opportunity to extend your season another week by beating a division rival, coming off a big win last week against the Texans, where the offense finally clicked. They figured some things out. They scored 30 points in the second half. So all these good vibes, Saleh touting another great week of practice where, Zach just has a clear head. He's playing confident. All these things. So no more excuses now. And what kind of effort do we get? The Jets put up no points. They get shut out for the first time this year. The offense only had 4 yards going into halftime. Just a complete disgrace. Sacked 6 times. At one point they had 5 drives, and in 3 of them they produced negative yardage. So listen, when it comes to this year, who do you want to blame? You could start with Saleh, but for me it starts with Joe Douglas. The fact that this season came down to Zach Wilson and the Jets needed him to play at a level that he just hadn't shown he was capable of the first 2 years, and you go into the season with that guy as your backup quarterback, what do you expect to happen? And then you have these veteran quarterbacks that are contacting you, that want to play for you. You turn them down. You don't even want to listen. You wait 3 weeks. The only guy you signed is Trevor Siemian, who we've seen now on 2 occasions try to come into the game. He looks terrible. He has no arm. He looks lost. So the Jets have a lot of problems. I'm not going to say Zach is the only problem. I felt he was the biggest problem because of the trickle-down effect, how they tried to change the offense, how they tried to simplify it, how they had to coddle him, how they had to try to boost his confidence in order for him to play well. There's so many different elements and things that are just wrong with this team. And why it's so frustrating, obviously, is because of the longevity, right? If this was just one bad year, you kind of wash your hands and you say, all right, let's come back next year. You got Rodgers coming back. And even for someone like me, who's very, very optimistic about next season and what it could be with Rodgers coming back, it still feels wrong that in all likelihood, nobody's going to be held accountable for what we were forced to endure this season. And it never should have happened. It starts with Douglas, but even Saleh, the record is what it is. And somebody during the stream, they posted the Jets record after the bye week, which is even worse. So this team has gotten worse every single season as the year has progressed. So to me, that is a major coaching problem. There are other teams like the Dolphins today that are dealing with issues on the O-line. They find a way to figure it out. Why are the Jets the only team in football that can't overcome any injuries? Other teams have systems and coaches that have players that you can plug and play with, while the Jets, it's like 1 or 2 guys go down and they're just lost on offense. You can give credit all you want to the defense and Ulbrich and how Saleh's coached up the defense, but as a head coach, you got to be able to coach both sides of the ball. And the offense has had consistent problems the entire year. You take away the 30 points they scored last week in the second half, and it's been 2 months. It's been the entire season, really, that the offense has done nothing. You had a couple games during the win streak, with the Broncos, and then the defense giving you some extra takeaways, some extra possessions. But really, they have not played well all year. A couple drives against the Chiefs. And what else do you really have? Historically, this offense is one of the worst I've ever seen. And they've just had no answers. And again, you go back to Joe Douglas. That's where it all starts. But once Rodgers went down, they had a chance to do something else. They didn't. Once you got to the trading deadline and your season was still alive, still could have did something there. They didn't. It's such a shame that this entire year was completely wasted with another great defense because they didn't want to make a move at quarterback and they didn't prepare for something to eventually happen like this. So you feel for everybody in the locker room, especially Garrett and Sauce. Obviously, I saw the video of Becton laughing as he's going back to the locker room. I'm done with that. I mean, he's probably gone. So you're looking at making a lot of moves this offseason. You need a lot of help on the O-line, another receiver, possibly another running back to replace Cook. Like, the Jets have a lot of needs. My long-term view is still positive, but it's so hard to look past right now with 3 weeks left, with the AFC wide open, with Rodgers likely being able to practice this week, possibly even cleared by Sunday, which is not going to happen now. But if the season was alive, if you can get back one or two of those games that you should have had, the conversation around this team is just completely different. And that's why, again, it's so hard to just say, all right, and this is where I agree with Tyson, it's so hard to just accept everybody coming back next year, because in any other year, when you look at the 3 years of Saleh, the 4 years of Joe Douglas, the records they've accumulated, you can't justify that, you can't defend that, and guys would lose their job. Any other year, guys are getting fired. But they're all going to come back because of the hope with Aaron Rodgers, which I am still optimistic about, but it doesn't take away the absolute failure that was this season. Completely wasted. So, talk to you guys later.